There's a show that will actually be appearing tonight that people are very excited about.
I'm glad you said something. I didn't realize it was tonight.
Yeah, well, it's because it's been off air for 2 years at this point.
Sure.
But people are just hungry for it. It's not even like the full season at this point either.
Well, you know what? They're timing this right with the winter break of all shows.
Yeah, I guess so. That is smart. So that's the only thing people will be talking about. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to be delving into right now, guys. It's Rick and Morty.
Souvenirs are dumb.
No, that's okay. No, I got you, Martin, because I can give you that classic black tee with the white logo right now. Not only do you get the classic black tee with the white logo, but you also get different colors now. We have the now they changed the colors for these. By the way, they keep changing the names of them. Now it's Heather Forest. Before it was like olive green, so whatever. You also get the dark gray heather and the salmon belly, the heather orchid.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the salmon belly. That's what Corey calls it. Yeah. Also got the classic logo, the neon logo, the hoodie, which I wish I was wearing right now because I'm so cold. Stickers, phone cases, and if you don't know what to get, you can always get the gift of choice. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot to talk about the slides. So I'm not used to them being there. But no, guys. You can also, wear the feet. You can expose your toes. Heels, perfect for this weather. But no, once it definitely gets warmer outside, once it gets sunny again, that'd be the perfect thing to wear. It's finally coming back after a 2-year hiatus. We're going to have season 4 debuting, I think, 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight. So
that's Central Standard Time for 11:30?
Yeah.
Damn, that's late.
Yeah, it is late. Well,
are you still working on the episode?
I think so. It's like South Park. Like they make those episodes in 24 hours or something like that. Despite having a 2-year hiatus, people are just so hungry for it.
Sure.
Well, what Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon were able to create, I mean, honestly, it might be, I know Dan Harmon had huge success with Community. It was a cult following, sure, but Rick and Morty is like a whole nother animal, where the fan base is just hungry for it. People on social media are ready to criticize it for its fan base and everything.
People already posting about how these episodes aren't as good as last season, even though they haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, and it's just like it's ridiculous. But the fervor is obviously there, and I just kind of want to give people a taste of what they can expect with season 4.
And that's the end of the Morty Gets a Dragon experiment.
Are you gonna slay it?
First off, I always slay it, Queen. Secondly, yes.
Like you, I'm really excited for the show.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go into just kind of like how Rick and Morty has really set itself among to be like one of the best, I think, animated cartoons currently on right now. And I have 5 reasons why I think that. And probably most importantly, it's because of the characters themselves, the 2 main characters, Rick and Morty. I mean, they're dynamic. Yeah, it's both funny, but it's also very dysfunctional. And initially when we were first kind of introduced to them, it's just like, okay, well, clearly, Rick is the one that we're supposed to like. He's the smartest. He says a lot of the funnier lines and everything like that. But I like how the series, like, over time, it says, like, no, you're not supposed to like Rick. Like, you're supposed to feel for Morty's character. And I like how it kind of takes that to a very kind of slow extent and just it builds over the of 3 seasons.
Well, sure. When you think you're just watching something that's a one-off episode or, 22 minutes on Adult Swim for what could just be a season, because they have a lot of shows that will show up and then disappear.
Yeah,
it's fun from a distance.
Yeah,
but then after a while of getting to know somebody, you're like, hey, this is not cool at all.
You're actually despicable. What you're doing is terrible to this person. You're making him worse.
Yeah, and our society has really come down to where nobody praises heroes, only anti-heroes.
No, I agree with you. Yes, I think our pop culture has kind of popularized that attitude. Like, that's what we want to hear is we want them to be snarky as all hell. We want them to think they're the smartest person in the room. But a lot of times that's not a character that is kind of healthy. Like
No,
they're
not at
kind of
all.
sick in a way. But that's what I've always liked about kind of the relationship over time, and like how we are initially led to believe that's okay, no, Rick is the one that we're supposed to like, and Morty is the dweeb. He's the one that we're not supposed to care of. Like if anything bad happens to him, we're supposed to laugh. But I like how the series has gone on, that we really do start to care about Morty as a character. We care about his growth and how we're just so opposed to Rick and just how terrible he is for the entire family.
Yes.
And so I always really like that, and kind of the shows, focus on morality to a certain extent. But yeah, the other part of the series I think is great. Like, yeah, you have two, great main characters, but you have to have a big supporting cast. And that's to my second point, where it's like with people like Beth and Jerry, and also the rest of everyone else in Summer and things.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge cast, but I like that it's also like you're not just seeing everything with Rick and Morty. You're also going to the relationships of these other people, and I like that we're kind of going to Jerry and Beth's failed marriage.
Well, man, you talk about Rick and Morty. How you're supposed to. Do you think you're supposed to root for Rick, and then you end up feeling more for Morty?
Sure.
Beth and Jerry, that's the one.
Yeah.
Because through so much of it, it's like, Jerry's so weak, and she's the strong one, she's the smart one. Later on, you're like, nah, man, she's really messed up.
Because of Rick.
Because of Rick, no.
His psychological
the
emotional
more you
abuse.
see how much he has influenced her, you start to see how, man, Jerry's kind of a hero that he's been hanging in there.
Yeah.
And, like laughing at him or putting him down for taking shit. He's actually one of the stronger characters, and that he loves her enough to stick around for all that. And he's been the one person the whole time going, yeah, your dad sucks, and he's ruining things for everybody.
Yeah. Initially, when the series starts out, where like Beth is just happy her father's back, because as you learn, like he's been gone for decades at this point. Just abandons her when she's a little girl, and you see that abuse on her own psyche, where she's to a certain extent just as selfish as Rick is. But I like how over time she begins to even recognize it, and much in the same way as Morty, she realizes like I need to grow as a person, and I need to work on my marriage for the not only for myself but also for the sake of my children. And again, for a show that it's like about a insane grandpa and a kid with a learning disability going on crazy adventures. It's actually going into family dysfunction and dynamics and things. Again, that's really cool. But that shows like the effort that they're putting into the supporting cast.
Does Morty have a learning disability?
Yeah, it's actually one of the first things they go into in the first seasons. Is that he I think he has like ADD or ADHD.
Oh.
And like it's being exacerbated by the fact that Rick is not he's taking him on all these adventures and not helping him.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah. And like Rick's way again to like solve problems is not like sitting down and talking with his family.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm just gonna inject you with some experimental drug that makes you learn better. But like no mind any of the side effects or anything like that. But again, it's that supporting cast of characters I think that just really makes the show so enjoyable. And one of the other things I wanted to touch on, this is my third point why I think it's a great show, is how it handles pop culture.
Oh yeah.
I think that a lot of shows, certainly in the last, I think 20 years, they've kind of indulged in pop culture, and where eventually that's just what all the show is about. I mean, one of the most notorious programs I think is Family Guy, where eventually, initially it started out where it's about, hey, again, a family dynamic. Like we're all trying to get along. It explores morality, but it became all about after subsequent seasons, all about the sight gags, all about the cutaways.
Yeah, the cutaways.
And I think over time it kind of lost a lot of people. I mean, it still has a huge fan base, but it's not as beloved as it initially was, like in the late '90s and early 2000s. And then you have like another show where I think even though like this particular season, I think they made a great comeback. But I fell off of this one for a long time. Is South Park?
Yeah, I fell off a couple years ago myself.
Yeah, and the big reason why is because even though the show initially started out, basically the boys going on all these little adventures and things, and the pop culture thing was always in the background. The commentary was always in the background there.
Right.
But like I'd say in the last 10 seasons, everything became about
It became about that when it was, hey, we can crank one of these out in a week. Let's see what the new thing in the new is, and write a show real quick, and it'll be all about that.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of fun at first, and then after a while, it's like, well, man, you haven't really paid much attention to what's going on in the town with the characters for a while.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that was the thing that always just frustrated me. It became so focused on this one thing that it's like, this is not even a story. You're just selling me what the latest craze is right now. And I just don't particularly like that. But what I think with Rick and Morty is that they've been able to handle death. Like they've had moments where they can indulge in pop culture, but at the same time, like provide like a lot of context to their world and a lot of their relationships, particularly in this clip right here.
Where they created a new sauce for the McNuggets called Szechuan sauce, and it's delicious, and then they got rid of it.
This sauce is f***ing amazing. You said it's promoting a movie?
So again, context, start of a joke about McDonald's Szechuan sauce from Mulan, and then we learn like on that day, that's when his family was murdered. So how it handles pop culture, it's very different from how South Park and Family Guy handle pop culture, and I like that. Now there is a dark side to a lot of the pop culture references that Rick and Morty does. Or not even.
I would say that was one.
Yeah. I mean, but also in real life, I would say. I mean, we have examples of with the Szechuan sauce joke. We have real life fans. How that that this was a big thing that happened after that episode. I think it was the season finale of season 2. Listen, man, he was pretending to be Pickle Rick. And where I can't actually show this video because the guy that took that has copyrighted that thing all to hell. So I can't even show that because I don't want to get in trouble. But I have a picture from it. But what happened is that he just started freaking out in the middle of a McDonald's, and where he just started writhing on the floor, jumping on the like the cash registers, like the table for the cash registers and everything, just screaming, "I'm Pickle Rick!" And people were just all walking around, just going, "Oh my God, we got to like call the cops on this guy." And he just ran out of the place. But again, we see kind of like, again, not the fault of Justin Roiland or Dan Harmon, but a fan base that gets too passionate about the
I mean,
subject.
you can't control what people are going to do with your property.
No.
If you aren't telling them to go out and do that.
At least the Szechuan sauce didn't lead to murder here. And this guy was just right on the floor. And he ran away. Didn't hurt anybody. Inconvenienced a whole bunch of people, but no one murdered someone over a chicken sandwich, which I do appreciate. But my fourth point I want to go into is how I really like that the show has consequences and a big sense of continuity with a lot of animated shows, and some do have.
Thought you didn't like continuity.
Yeah.
Thought you didn't like continuity.
Well, with animated shows, it's fine. Like with comics, it's a little more difficult for the fact because it has 50 to 60 years of continuity to follow, and people's picking and choosing at this point.
Yeah, so I hear somebody picking and choosing.
Yeah, well, I'm picking and choosing this one. I think it's fine. There are only 4 seasons in at this point. Not even 4 seasons. I think it's okay. But I like that they established, what Rick and Morty do to this world and to other characters that they come across, it affects them throughout subsequent seasons to the point where they reference.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love when a show will reference things that happened before.
Yeah, and like one of the more iconic episodes, actually in the first season, is the Cronenberg episode.
Oh, right.
Where they literally, because of some formula that Morty takes from Rick, basically destroys the planet. Mm-hmm. And where Rick, even though he's supposedly so smart, he can't fix it. And they're just kind of stuck in there, and they realize we can't do anything about this, so we're just going to leave. And that's where it kind of leads to one of that. I think this is the episode because I think this was the first season, episode 4 or something, where it's okay, this is something special, and just kind of give people perspective of really the dark type of content that Rick and Morty does, and the consequences for their actions is right here.
1 screw turn and 2 screw turns and. All right, Morty, here we are.
Oh my God, Rick! Is that us?
I mean, that's the kind of stuff the show doesn't care about. It's like, listen, man, we're gonna show someone horrifically murdered, but we gotta deal with this problem right now. Right.
I just had to find one of those realities in which we also happen to both die around this time. Now we can just slip into the place of our dead selves in this reality, and everything will be fine. Now pick up your dead self and come on.
I mean, that's pretty much what the show does, on like every other episode. But I like how even in this particular thing, they reference the fact that this is a whole different world that they live in. Yeah. Like in later seasons, they actually go back to that world.
Do they?
It's even more of a mess. And
I'm saying, it's funny because I've watched all these shows, but it's just been a while. I forget all the stuff that happens
because they go on hiatus.
They go on hiatus, and so much happens in these episodes.
Yeah. But no, I mean that's the kind of this is when I knew that the show was doing something really special, and where they come back, I think, to their original Earth, in season 3, and they see it got even worse. I think they even end up murdering like, or at least really negatively affecting Morty's parents, like Beth and Jerry, who've kind of become these warriors of the wasteland, very much like.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, very similar to something like from Mad Max or something.
Right.
Again,
okay, I didn't realize that's how that. Okay,
how it all connects. But again, it's not afraid to have a continuity because so often, like, Family Guy, The Simpsons, they have somewhat of a continuity. Characters that have died, but it's like
that's about it.
They pick and choose.
Yeah.
Like this one, it's like they have enough confidence in their fans to remember stuff and just to kind of continue the narrative on. That's what I think elevates it, both in terms of its maturity, for as even as ridiculous as these sequences are,
Sure.
but also just constructing a narrative. And I think that's what's always really, really worked about the show.
Yeah, it's pretty special.
Now the last thing I want to do is, and we kind of touched on this before, but it's kind of like the fact that it's, even though it's so crass and disgusting to a certain extent, but it's the morality that I think Rick and Morty deal with. With Rick, who really is such a negative influence on Morty, to the point when even when Morty has learned something, even it's for his own good. Like there's a whole episode dedicated to the fact that he's just stripping those memories away from Morty.
Oh, right.
Just to have him kind of be the same little sidekick character that he always is, like to stop that kind of his maturity. And with Rick, it focuses on the fact that he's just not a particularly good person, and that the person that even though we're initially supposed to cheer for Rick, it's actually Morty who's the person we're supposed to care for the most.
Yeah.
I like how Rick and Morty initially tricks you into learning moral lessons, and where again it has like even though it's basically about two people you're supposed to despise, you eventually grow to like all these characters with the exception of the main one. And I just think that that's really cool. It kind of tricks the audience, but there are some segments of the fan base that still think Rick is all that, like he's the one that we should follow. He's the moral compass, but he's absolutely not.
Well, it seems like it's okay to root for Rick when he's against anyone except his family.
Sure.
Like when it's Rick versus the government, I always root for Rick. And
he hates the government too. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I hate the government, but I usually root for him when he's against the Council of Ricks or
sure.
Or what was that superhero team that?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like the Reliators or something like that. But yeah, it's like where they're all they're just like so like sexist and toxic and everything.
And douchey.
Yeah. No, exactly. And those certain cases, that's when you're supposed to cheer on for Rick. But when he's just kind of with Morty, like when he encounters someone even worse than him, then yes, we are supposed to cheer for Rick. But I just like how the show has been able to evolve over time and really just create its own world and establish a really unique narrative that a lot of animated shows don't have. And I think that's what kind of sets it apart from a lot of animated programs,
sure.
Especially comedic animated programs.
Yeah. It's very different from just about every other animated show out there, and it seems like right now there's not even other shows to compete with it. I mean, I don't know what other. It seemed like there was a time when I used to watch a lot of animated stuff on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim, and now it has been nothing.
And hopefully with Rick and Morty, eventually they can give a good ending, because they got like 7 more seasons.
That's right.
Left.
They got renewed for, was it 12 seasons or what was it?
It's something. I think it was.
7 maybe.
I think by the time season 3 had ended, they said like 7 more seasons, so 70 more episodes. And I don't know, maybe a movie. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised. But I am looking forward to seeing this series continue on and to check out the season 4 premiere. But yeah, I'm just curious what the chat's thinking about it. What you guys? Pickle Rick episode was great. Pickle Rick episode is one of the best ones, and that's one of the perfect ones that kind of deal with the family dynamic. Like he would rather become a pickle than go to therapy. Again, it's like he's not a good person. He doesn't want to improve himself, and I love that. So no, that's a great one, chat.